Hey, Hockey Nuts, Wayne here. Just doing one quick video. I've been doing a couple of these for the past couple of weeks, and I thought it was time to do another one. It's another, if the playoffs started today, what would the bracket look like? And rather than taking the time to put it on my stand behind me, which has my standings board right now, I'm going to go ahead and do it on this board right here, this little board. This is the one I've been using for this series. We've got basically the 16 teams laid out. And if you look at it, actually, if you look at it down here, we have some teams missing. Vancouver and Arizona are missing down here on this board, and Buffalo is missing on this board. That's because those teams have been completely mathematically eliminated, and we're no longer going to even consider them on this board. We're just go ahead and put their magnet away until next year. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look, shall we? Number one, right here. This is hard to do. This is really hard to do. Number one, we have Tampa Bay and New Jersey going to play each other. In the other bracket in that deal is Boston and Toronto. And then down here we have Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, followed by Columbus and Washington. I personally think this bottom half of the bracket is going to be fun to watch. Columbus and the Capitals, I think, will be a great first-round series. Two teams that have been struggling with playoff success over the past several years. So at least one of them will be able to succeed, at least for the first round anyway. This one here is really intriguing to me. Philly versus Pittsburgh. That is a cross-state rival. The two teams do not like each other. Should be a fun series to watch. I hope it actually ends this way. Toronto and Boston continue to be in lockstep with each other as far as playoff seedings. This one hasn't changed in quite some time. Although Boston beat Tampa tonight 3-0, and they are now within 2 points of Tampa, and Boston has a game in hand, and Boston holds the tiebreak right now because they have beat Tampa Bay twice this season. They still have 2 more games against each other. So that tiebreak isn't sealed yet, but anyway, it's close. So you could see Boston and Tampa Bay switch at some point. That would be interesting if it does. All right. Down here, if you look, I have Florida, and then a dotted line, and then the Rangers, Carolina, Islanders, Montreal, Detroit, Ottawa. And Buffalo would be here. But there's another line right here with a little tiny E next to it. I know you probably can't see that, but the little tiny E, that is the elimination line. So that line, as we wind down the season, that line is continuing to slide in this direction. That's essentially what that signifies. It's moving in this direction. It's already picked off Buffalo. Buffalo, their logo has been tossed aside. Next team to go right now is Ottawa. Then that line slides to Detroit. Okay, that's how that works. So as that elimination line slides left, I'll remove all these off. This dotted line here signifies basically that it's the dividing line between teams that have a realistic chance of getting a playoff spot and the teams that are really not realistically having a chance. They're not mathematically eliminated yet, but it's not a realistic option for them at this point. They're too far behind, and they will be eliminated just in a matter of time. So the ones that are not realistically in are the Rangers, Carolina, Islanders, Montreal, Detroit, and Ottawa. Florida is the only team in the East right now that is on the outside looking in that has a shot at getting into the field of 16. All right. So that's the Eastern Conference. Let's head out west. And I'm going to slide the board to the left over here a little bit. All right. Top ones is Vegas and Colorado. Now this one, the 4 seeds here have basically been flip-flopping back and forth almost every day. Those have been, so Dallas has been up here, Colorado's been down here. It's just been flipping back and forth. It is so close in the West right now. these teams are moving all around. And Anaheim's been up here. St. Louis has been up here. Calgary has even, it's been a while, but they've even spent some time up here a couple of times. Not as often as the other 4 teams, but this one is constantly changing on a day-to-day basis. In fact, if you look at the standings, LA, Anaheim, Dallas, and Colorado are all currently tied as I speak at 84 points. They're all right there. And then St. Louis is at 81, Calgary's at 80. And yeah, it's tight. And Minnesota is only at 87. They're only 3 points up on them. So it's tight in the West. But as of right now, as I record this, this is how the playoff picture would look. You've got Vegas versus Colorado. I think that would be a fantastic series between 2 upstart teams, 2 teams that weren't expected to make the playoffs. Should be a fun one. San Jose and LA, 2 California teams. Those are always good series. It'd be a great series to watch. Minnesota and Winnipeg, 2 Midwestern teams. Both have had limited playoff success in the past. Well, in the case of Winnipeg, they've never won a playoff round, but Minnesota's never really done that great either. So these are 2 teams that are both trying to get monkeys off their backs right there. And then the final series, Dallas versus Nashville. And I think whoever ends up in this spot right here is basically being fed to the predator. Because I don't think all these teams that are on that bubble of in and out, they're all struggling. They're all win 1, lose 1, win 2, lose 1, that kind of stuff. While Nashville is just rolling over everybody. So all these teams not only are trying to get into the playoffs, they're trying to stay out of this spot right here. That's the one spot in the Western Conference that nobody wants to be. Is be that first opponent for Nashville. But as of right now, the sacrificial lamb is the Dallas Stars. On the outside looking in, we have the Ducks, the Blues, and Calgary, who have realistic shots at getting in. With the dotted line here, the 2 teams that are on the outside that really don't have a realistic chance of getting in, but are still not mathematically eliminated yet, is Edmonton and Chicago. Although if you look at the standings, I fully expect at least 3 of these teams in the East, 1, 2, 3, if not 4, and both of these within the next week. Before we even get into the final week of the season, these 2 should be gone. And actually, I'm going to go out and say these 6 should be gone heading into the last week of the regular season. That's how far back those teams have fallen. So that's the way it is. So that is a look at how the playoffs would look if they started today, the March 17th edition. So go ahead and click like and subscribe if you like this video, if you want to see me continue this series. And then with that, we'll go ahead and pause it for now and pick it up the next time we do this, probably midweek sometime. So with that, we'll go ahead and end it. And until next time, we'll see you then.